Hi everyone, my name is Callie. Welcome to My Place and My Plot. This video is the third in the series for making over my spare room. And I have to tell you I'm a little nervous about this one because there is math in this one and some science. You may not know this about me yet, but I was a high school science teacher for 18 years. So this means I kind of geek out on science and math. So there's a little geeking out in this video. Basically, the job today is I am going to paint the stripes on the walls. Technique-wise, it's all about trying to get that stripe level all the way across the wall. And for that, I used a self-leveling laser, which I'm showing you right here. And then the second part of this is mixing up the ombre paints. Now, I could have done the easy thing. I almost said the right thing. But then this wouldn't be trying projects or finding projects that are trying. I mixed up my own paint color, this funny green, the sagey green I call it. And since that's all I had to start with, I wanted to take that mix I started with and shift it lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter to get my ombre stripes. Which, by the way, I haven't said, were inspired by Pinterest, this photo right here. Okay. So what we're going to try and do is explain to you how I did all of this. First things first, how many stripes and why I chose the width that I did. The Fibonacci sequence. Okay, if you don't know about the Fibonacci sequence, I just wanted something that looked a little bit more natural. I didn't want like a 10-inch stripe, an 8-inch stripe, a 6-inch stripe, a 4-inch stripe, a 2-inch stripe. I wanted something that followed a more natural pattern. Well, the Fibonacci sequence is this mathematical sequence where you get the next number by adding the two previous numbers. So if you start with 0 and 1, 0 and 1 is 1. 1 and 1 is 2. 1 and 2 is 3. 2 and 3 is 5. 3 and 5 is 8. I used that as the basis for the size of my stripes. And because I knew I wanted to get to somewhere between 40 and 45 inches of height along my wall, and I included, well, initially I included a 2-inch stripe, which was the width of my tape. Between the stripes, I actually wound up buying the 1.5-inch width. And I like that too. So it worked out all in the end. It didn't matter. I was a few inches shorter than what I had planned. I took the 8, the 5, the 3, the 2, the 1, and I don't think I took the final one. And I took those and multiplied them by 2. So you can actually see it laid out on the wall in this picture here. My bottom stripe was 18 inches. 8 times 2, 16 inches. My next stripe was 5 times 2, 10. 3 times 2, 6, and 3 times 2, 6, 2 times 2, 4, and 1 times 2 is 2. So those were the size stripes I had. So there's the Fibonacci sequence, which is really cool. You should look into it. From the Fibonacci sequence, you can get the golden ratio. From all of these things, you can make these spiral shapes using the Fibonacci sequence, and you wind up creating things that you see in nature. So it's this weird mathematical thing that mimics nature, and so that's what I wanted to do on my walls. And then to mix the colors. Well, that took a little chemistry and science. We will get to that when we get there. But first, let's go ahead and lay out these stripes now that we've figured out the pattern. Hello! So the second coat went on, and now I'm down here in the corner because I am trying to create the first stripe. And I've managed it. And what I'm using is a laser level. And I leveled that side with the laser level to get the first row of tape on. And then I thought, oh, I can just use like a regular level and let it come across. And right here behind me was the point at which I tilted and I didn't know. So I'm back to using my laser level. So it comes with this cool little thing that you can stick into the wall. I don't know if you can see this. Can you? Yep, there. Now you can see that. Okay, so here I am. I've got the laser level thing with the needle out, and apparently all I need to do is get this like right on the line I'm trying to do. Okay, I got it. I got it. I don't know if you can see it. Wait, backing up so you might have a shot at this. But I do. I got it right above the tape. And then you push it in. You push it in. There, it's starting to go in. Push it in, push it in, push it in. Okay, I pushed it in. And then you get this on it. And there's 2 settings on this level. The first one, come on, get in there. So there's a magnet down here if you're wondering. The first one has a level line that doesn't adjust, that doesn't self-level. So I could, realistically do that, but that's not what I'm going to do. The second setting, there we go, has a self-leveling line. Okay. All right. Look at that. So see, it's pretty much right on the line, and you can see, yeah, one little piece of tape that I did wrong and started tilting downwards. And I'm off by ½ inch here. Look way down there. Yeah, it's about 1 inch. So I'm going to be going ahead and relaying this line and the last line. And then I think I finally will have figured out how to do this. I am not sure how much I'm going to have to patch those holes. It's a little hole. It's like a nail hole. But this is going to be one of the new stripe colors. So I could put a little patch or joint compound in there, wipe off the excess and just paint over it. And I think we'll be okay. So that's what I'm going to do now, relay tape. Leaning down here just to see. So this is the pattern I chose for my stripes. I actually wanted 2-inch tape, but you'll see I switched from green tape to blue tape. This is supposed to be better for lines. It's got like a better adhesive on the edges so you don't get bleed under. We shall hope. Because, okay, actually, with the laser level, this was so much easier. You may have also seen me use a regular level, and I did that because turning these corners, the tape always started to tilt. So because I needed to put the laser level onto this wall to shoot it down that way, it was important that I get at least this first chunk as level as I could so I would know where to put it, but it would be level at least along the wall. And I'll admit these stripes are not exactly what I was measuring, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that they're even all the way around. Now I can see in the camera it looks like, they narrow, but that's what perspective is all about. Really, they look even. There is one last step, which is why I'm holding this. This is a scraper from my kitchen. The last thing I want to do is kind of burnish this. I believe that's what they call it. It's about making sure that the tape is nice and tight to the wall. Yes, I am a little worried that when I pull this off, my paint underneath is going to pull off. And you see the width of this? Total pain in the butt to do those repairs if it does pull off paint. I did, however, test it this morning. Now, the primer has probably been on here for, well, this side, like a week. This side, easily 2 to 3 weeks. But this base coat is the second coat of the base color, has only been on for a day. And apparently takes like 30 days for everything to actually cure. Drying is different from curing. Yeah, I'm not gonna wait that long. So I tested it. It appears to come off even when I burnish it and rub it on. So we're just gonna cross our fingers and hope for the best. So now I'm gonna go ahead and burnish this, and so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And then I'm gonna finish the stripes and show you the whole thing. So here is what it looks like now. So I'm gonna give you a little spin tour here. So there's that side, you can see, and then here's this side. So I'm going all the way around, even though Well, it's going to be a lot of stripes. Now remember, the goal here is to have the same color in an ombre. So I'm going to show you my notes again so we have a chance of seeing this. All right, so there. Are we both in the screen now? So what I know is the base coat is 5 parts antique white to 1 part of my sagey gray. And what I'm going to do for my 5 stripes is 6 and 0, so that's 6 of the sagey green and 0 of the white, so the solid darkest color. Then I'm going to go 5, 1, 4, 2, 3, 3, and 2, 4. Now I had one more up there, but I'm not even going to because that's 1, 5, which is my base color. So basically they're adding up to 6 each time, and it's just a mix ratio. Decreasing 1 part of the darkest green and adding 1 more part of the white as we go up the wall. And I got some tools for it. Okay, really, all I got was a bucket that can be measured. You can find those at any hardware store. Yeah, so we're going to see. The first coat's going to be, not the first coat, the first stripe's going to be the easiest because I don't have to mix anything. It is just my sagey gray color. So that's the base color. Hi, you can see me too. So that's the base color, sagey green and gray. Couldn't tell you what it is because I mixed it myself. Yes, I'm down on the floor. So I am now going to mix, and I've got my my vinyl tablecloth down here on the floor for myself because I expect I'm going to make a big mess. I've been stirring up my antique white. It's a new gallon jar, and boy, it had separated, and you got to stir it really, really well. So I must have stirred it for like 2 to 3 minutes until there was no more swirling showing up. I've got my base color sitting over here, and I've got this. So what's cool is, as I'm looking on the side of this, I knew it had markings, so I knew I'd be able to figure this out. In this case, I want 5 parts of the dark green to 1 part of the white. And if you look closely on this, there you go, you can see the numbers come up the side. So I can choose whichever the 6th is, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would fill it to there with the dark green. And then I would add white until I got up to here. And then mix, 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 mix. So I can choose a little bit like what volume I want just by doing this. Because these look like even markings, so I'm just going to assume that they are. Now, if you look, this is what the wall looks like right now. So it looks pretty good. However, I think it's going to need a second coat. So what I figured is I'd mix this up and I would get started on the next layer up while I waited for this just to dry a little bit more. And then I would come back around and put another quick second coat on top of this darkest one. And then while I'm doing that, that layer would dry a little bit and then I could do a second coat on that one. Now my next layer is almost as wide as this one, just a couple of inches less. So I'm thinking I'm going to go for almost this much of the bucket. So I figured out which set I wanted to use, which is, I think, this one. I'm going to use this one right here. So my end point will be way up here towards the top. Should still give me just enough room to stir. So I'm actually going to mix this here. Let's see how it goes. See how well I can do this. All right, here we go. Okay, you know what? So here's what I know. I'm betting that's how much paint I used going around the green. So I'm thinking I don't need quite as much as all of this. So I'm moving down to the smallest one. I can add a little bit more of the green to get to the 5. There we go. I am now at the 5. And I got my brush right here. Hang on so I can kind of clean this edge up a little bit. Get some of this paint back in the jar. Ooh, yeah, we're going to have to do this in a different measuring cup, I think, from here on out. But I'm going to go with it, because I have, and so I'm going to. All right, so now I need 1 part of my white. And there it is, everybody, 1 part of my white. Ooh, what's so much white? Yeah, See, I didn't have a brush ready to do this. So I'm just pushing some of this white back in. And, okay, let's stir it and see how it all turned out. Oh boy, what a mess, you might say. Yep, I think we're there. I mean, it's not significant, but it's not supposed to be super noticeable one stripe to the next. It's supposed to be more noticeable from beginning to end. So, we've gotten that done. Oh. Everybody. So rather than do this off the cuff like I did when I was painting, I'm going to treat you like students and be the teacher and show you what I did to calculate how to mix up all the other stripe colors. So first, if you take a look over here, what you will see is the different stripes that I planned and the ratios of green and white paint that I was planning on using. The trick is to use the formula we're going to use, we need the concentration. So I did the concentration of green paint to the total volume of paint that I had. White was what I was going to use to dilute. Think of it like adding water, except I didn't want to add water. I was adding paint to dilute out the green. The volume we're going to use is this right here. The concentration of your first liquid times the amount of volume you have of your first liquid will equal the concentration of your second liquid times the volume of the second liquid. Concentration times volume equals concentration times volume. So we are using ratios and some chemistry stuff. You use this all the time in chemistry to mix one concentration of a chemical from a different concentration of a chemical. All right, the other weird tricky thing that's happening here is that instead of actually calculating the volume of paint we have, because we're using a straight-sided cylinder, the volume of the paint will be roughly equivalent to the height of the paint. It'll be similar, so we can just substitute with the height in inches of the paint. Okay, so let's start this off. The first stripe down here was easy. It was all green. The second stripe I mixed in the bucket using 5 parts green and adding 1 part of white, which is a 5/6 concentration. So that is the concentration of paint I now have, 5/6. All right, let's see if I can do this. 5/6. I need to multiply that by the volume I have, but remember, we're just substituting height. So I literally measured up the side of the bucket to see how much height I had in inches of Stripes 4's paint. And it turns out I had 2.5 inches. 2.5. Here, I'll make my point a little bit bigger so we can see this. So, I know those two. Now, the second concentration I need is the concentration of the next stripe, which in this case was going to be the stripe that I wanted to have 4 parts green and 2 parts white. So I wanted the 4/6 concentration. So I'm going to put 4/6. And what I need to know is how much volume, remember we're using height, how much total height I need in that bucket to get to a 4/6 concentration. So I'm going to call this volume 2. For those of you who never thought you'd use your algebra again, wrong. This is algebra. All I have to do is solve for V2, and that will be my total height in inches that I need in that bucket, and I will have a 4/6 concentration. Okay, so now we got to solve. Remember, you do the opposites. Oh, and remember, you got to do it to both sides. I hope I'm not about to freak you out, but I'm going to do it. I need to get rid of the 6 over here. So the goal is to get the V2 all by itself on one side. To get rid of the 6 at the bottom, I have to multiply it on the top, because then they will cancel. But I need to do that to both sides. 6 on the top. To get rid of the 4, which is on top, I need to divide by 4. So I need to put the 4 on the bottom. And these 4's will cancel, leaving me with V2 all by itself. Over here, well look, the 6's will cancel. So now what I've got is I've got 5. times 2.5. Whoop, almost got this. Divided by 4. All I got to do is punch this into the calculator, and I should be able to figure out how many inches of height I need in the end. So 5 times 2.5 divided by 4 equals 3.125 inches. So remember, I started off at 2.5 inches. So all I have to do is take that bucket, stick the ruler next to it, measure up to 3.125 inches, put a little piece of tape. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to pour white paint into that bucket until I reach that mark. Mix it up, and I will now have a 4/6 concentration. And I just keep repeating this math until I get all the way down and done with stripe 1. Hope that made sense. And welcome to the day after painting all of the stripes. Today I am going to work on touching up. There is a lot of touching up to do, and I thought this wall actually right here would probably be one of the best places to sort of show you what came up with this. So you can see, in this case, the paint ripped off all the way down to the blue, but we do have other kinds of damage here where it just took off or maybe bled under. Maybe it bled under a little bit. Now, it turns out I've already done a little touching up, and there's a ledge, a little itty-bitty ledge. What bear? We'll go over here. A little itty-bitty ledge. Actually makes it really easy to touch these up because your paintbrush will ride right along it. So let me show you what kind of paintbrush I'm using here. These are called Brights. They are made for acrylics, these ones, which is important because acrylic paints are thick, as are these interior paints, and it'll move it very well. And you can see it has a very crisp end, and it's very blunt and square, and it'll be really easy to touch up with this. The holes from the level, yeah, definitely noticeable. So I wound up patching them. Hope you can see it right there. And you'll notice this one is partially in the green. I actually have some of that. I might be able to touch that one up. The ones further down are harder to notice because they're further down. Many of them are also kind of up in the white, and it's also just, it's such a little bit. I may just not touch those up because there's no way I'm remixing all of those paints because there is none of those left. I didn't save any of them. This was like a one-off event. Okay, so now it's time to just touch everything up. And with that, the stripes are done. They turned out awesome. I love it. I love the colors. I love the gradation. I love how sharp they turned out. They're energetic, and the color yet is so muted. It's lovely. I like my new room color. So the last thing to do is to just move all the gym equipment in, move the furniture back in, do a little final decorating. There were a couple of DIYs that I did with this, so we're going to throw all of that in one last video for the spare room remodel. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope the math and science didn't completely freak you out. I hope you made it through the video. Thank you so much for watching, and join me in the next one. Bye!